What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So obviously we made it home, and this video is going to be about the things that I have found so far, some of the things that we found on the way back, and I guess some of the plans for the car. It's been great. Came back. Monday was a holiday, so took some time to just spend it with the family and hang out and did a few things. However, it was nasty, so I recruited my older son and we washed the car. And I'll just throw some pictures in right here. So yeah, it's still leaking water, obviously, just a little bit at a time. It's really interesting because if I park it and leave it overnight, it'll leak like maybe a cup of water. And then if I drive it and park it, it didn't leak anything. So I'm gonna guess that either there's a spot in the shaft that lines up with a spot in the seal where maybe there was like a little bit of pitting that happened, so that like if it just stops in just the right place or close to the right place, that it actually will leak out of the weep hole for the water. Again, I still haven't gotten it on a lift. It's definitely leaking oil and water. The other thing that I figured out, this car has like a nitrogen powered nitrogen over hydraulic braking assist, like power brakes. It doesn't have a standard brake booster. So that's leaking a little bit on the inside, which is causing the pump to cycle a lot. There are DIYs to fix the accumulator because it's got like this tank that is nitrogen charged, and then it like pumps a little bit of brake fluid in there, and then equalizes, I guess. And then when you hit the brakes, it uses that nitrogen pressure to like assist all of, the brakes where normally it would be like a vacuum assist. It works a little bit different. I guess the newer model, GS, Aristo, etc., does have that as well. So I'm going to look into that. I know that, like I said, there's DIYs on like places like McMaster-Carr that you can actually buy the seals and everything to fix it. So I may end up doing that because honestly, it's not going to be super fun to do. I'll show you guys that. Okay, you guys can see right here, this is that system. ABS and brake booster all in one place. This right here is the accumulator. So we're going to have to do something with that. Everything looks really clean up here. He did clean everything a little bit. But you guys will see the radiator here. It's got to be fixed. You guys can actually see right here. This is where it just leaked overnight. But like I said, it's not very much. Yeah, so that's an issue. Like I said, we're going to do some resealing here and maybe some stuff right here. Get rid of that. I may definitely have brought home some stuff to fix this and get rid of this factory intake. This is a really cool thing. So you guys know HKS, they made, this is a boot for up here, but they made this guy, which is a stock twins to 4-inch adapter that goes up here so that you can have a 4-inch intake. This car is not a MAF car. This has a MAP sensor only from Japan. So the USDM cars had a MAF right there, and this one does not, so it makes it really easy. The Japanese cars did not use a MAF. They had the MAP, and it was speed density. So I'm going to make a 4-inch intake. Had to order a filter. And this right here was actually off of the drift car back when it had a precision turbo. But I brought home, like I said, I brought home a couple things to build an intake for it. I'm probably going to do that. It's going to be just really simple, but eventually I'm going to leave this piece because it does draw fresh air from the grill. And I will end up making a like heat barrier thing. Not that it matters that much, but it can't hurt to block some of the hot air going into the turbos because they create a lot of heat on their own. So some other stuff that we figured out is, so with the way those gauges work is actually, like, once they warm up, they'll actually pop up on their own. It's something with the way that the stepper motors and stuff work. They're just getting old. It's 27 years old. So, not a big deal. There are places that can rebuild those. A couple of the lights are out, and I'll probably do like an LED conversion to those. Might do a DIY on that. If you guys want to see that, let me know. So the AC compressor. The AC compressor makes a bunch of noise. We're going to be changing that. I have one from a newer model, but I'm not positive if the manifold that all the lines hook up to are the same. So I'll probably look at it really good once I get this thing on the lift, so I can really look at the AC compressor and figure out if that's going to work. Hopefully it does, so I don't have to buy something for that. Like I said, he did give me this pump rebuild, and that's for that hydro pump, which I got the one from Canada that he ordered for me, but it is really kind of gross, and Dad and I have kind of talked about using the one that's from this exact car, just knowing that it works and it's in pretty good shape. The pulley is pretty wobbly. I think we can fix that. What else do we got going on? The paint. I'm pretty sure this car sat probably exposed to the weather. I mean, these cars, you know, they sat a lot. I mean, it's only got 60,000-ish, 100,000 kilometers on it. So it's, you know, it did have to sit a lot, which is, again, 27 years old. Gives us for a little project, but the roof and stuff is kind of like a matte finish at this point. So the clear coat is a little bit burnt. And if you come back here, the trunk, so you guys can kind of see this, kind of a matte finish where like the lights are. I think a good compounding and stuff will help that. I've got this spot right here where this seal is kind of sticking up. So what I might do is try to heat it up a little bit, put a little bit of silicone down in there once I'm able to clean it all out. Put a good piece of tape here to let the silicone dry, and then hopefully it'll kind of sit down. There's like scratches and stuff, but like the paint on the trunk is kind of similar. It's kind of got like a semi-gloss finish instead of a gloss, and you can see where like the sun is kind of attacked the top of the spoiler here. So luckily that can be removed. So what I'll probably do is take this off and then maybe respray it. I do, like, as much as a lot of people like the gold emblems, I'm not a fan. If anything, I'll probably black it out or try to maybe find a black chrome emblem. That would be my ideal, to do a black chrome emblem there. And also in the front. I definitely want to take these taillights out, and I want to polish them really good. Like, the center is in really good shape. The sides, I think, have gotten a little bit of, like, maybe wax or something down in these reflectors. So they've got like a little bit of white crusty. So what I might do is like polish these really good and then maybe clear coat them. I don't know yet. We'll see. But there's a little bit of, I think that this probably happened in shipping, which is not, again, it's not a big deal. It'll kind of buff out a little bit. This car is not perfect. It's a driver. So that's not really that big of a deal. Over here is kind of got a similar spot. That's why I kind of think maybe it happened in shipping. I might pull the entire wing off and maybe respray it. Get one of those cans of paint like I did the back bumper of the Lexus to match this paint that you can get them. Sherwin-Williams sells, like, you can take the car or the paint code and get as professional as a spray can be. It actually works pretty well because the pressure inside is a little bit higher than a normal can. So you can do that. And then what I'll probably do is respray this with silver. to match the car and new clear so that the wing will be kind of like restored. I guess next I am going to make an intake for this thing just to have it free up a little bit. The filter's kind of gross. Again, it's been sitting. So I'd like to get that taken care of, and I don't want to just, buy a $50 K&N and, put that into that factory, filter housing and everything, when for $50 I can, pick up a cone filter, and then I have stuff laying around where I can make a 4-inch intake for the thing. I think it'll open it up a lot, and it'll give us some sound, because this thing is so quiet. That's another thing. We're going to do an exhaust, but because this car lives at the house, I'm going to do like a valved exhaust to where it'll have modes where either it is throttle position based or boost based or whatever, or just a switch. Obviously, just a switch would work too. Where this car actually has 4 mufflers. It has 2 before the axle, 1 on each side, and then 2 after the axles. So it's just so quiet, it's ridiculous. I'm going to I might even keep the factory middle mufflers, and then what the valve will do is bypass those, so that where it'll have larger tubes coming and going, feeding the mufflers in the back of the car, which I will be doing mufflers, probably vibrant, oval, like full-size mufflers in the back, like straight through, but still, will kill some sound. But then I'll leave the actual factory middle mufflers so that when the valve is shut, it will go through those first. So it will quiet the car down to where, when it's cold, it doesn't wake the entire house up, or if I come home late from either working or just going for a drive or something, I don't wake the entire house up, because it's very important to me with this car that I can cruise it without making a bunch of noise so that I don't wake the neighborhood up. The Lexus wakes the neighborhood up. Every time. So, let's make an intake, I guess. I have to say, I really do love how much room that opens up. That was pretty easy. What's crazy to me is that, so this is the fan fluid, because it is a hydraulically run fan. It runs off the front of the water pump, which is a dual stage pump. Yeah. A lot of 80s and early 90s cars from Toyota that didn't have enough room for a real cooling fan, like a cooling fan that was like attached to the engine. You can see there's a little less room here, I think, than like on a Mark IV Supra. So I think the engine bay might be a little bit shorter, and that might be why they opted to go with this setup. I'm not really sure. I haven't had any issues with it, but I know people just hate these things. So maybe one day we'll get rid of it, but I think I'm going to just rebuild the pump that is in there now, because it works. And that's what's important to me. The lines seem like they're in good shape. I don't know how high pressure it is, but it is ECU controlled. So, got the intake, the factory intake out. That was literally 3 bolts and a hose. So, it's all out next to the tricycle. I did just notice this line right here is cracked pretty good. So I just happened to grab some of the silicone vacuum line that I have, and I think it's the right size for this. So I think that I'm going to replace this line and any other line that is this size. Maybe these guys, because they're hard as a rock. Like this one here for the blow-off valve. That is the blow-off valve right there. I do have a tile blow-off valve that I can use for this thing that came off of my car. So eventually I will for sure put a tile blow-off valve on it, but right now there's no real point unless I figure out that it is leaking, because sometimes these things will leak boost. They won't fully shut. But that one looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't really know. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to go crazy. Factory charge pipes. The intercooler is actually directly underneath right here. So the intercooler runs out of the twins here, down, and then into this pocket underneath the headlight. There is a big side mount intercooler. Now this thing doesn't get as much air in the front bumper as like a Supra would, but I think it's been okay. We don't actually know, but charge pipes run across here and then down underneath the headlight and then back up over here. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Eventually, what I'd like to put on this is a Plasma Man front mount intercooler. They are a tube and fin, super lightweight, super efficient, but they allow for a lot of airflow through. Bar and plate is really, it's a good race setup. So is the tube and fin stuff. It's actually very efficient, but the tube and fin stuff allows for a lot more airflow through, and because we're keeping AC and everything, I need a lot of airflow through. So I don't know if I'm going to keep these horns or not yet. They sound really weird. I might like clean them up and see if I can make them work right and sound right. But yeah, now you guys can really see this radiator. It needs to be replaced. It is disgusting. I don't know. I think I'll probably try to modify a Supra one, but then the problem is you lose the transcooler that's built into the bottom of this. So I'll probably have to put an external transcooler on it, which is fine, but again, just more cost, less factory, and, there's already not a whole lot of room. So yeah, I don't want to overcomplicate this car. I just want to be able to drive it and enjoy it with the family, as like a fun dad daily / car show car. This thing actually has the electronic dampening, which I didn't notice that. Nick from up at work noticed that yesterday, but these actually connect to the top of the strut and auto adjust the dampening. I don't know how. I don't see any buttons inside for like a sport or anything like that, but the car rides great, but it has auto dampening shocks. But so as cool as the auto dampening shocks and stuff are, the car sits too high, and they're a little soft for what I want this thing to do. So obviously we're going to end up putting a set of BCs on it, because that's one of the things that made my drift car the most that it could be. So it made the most change that I felt as far as drivability, was changing from the original coilovers that were on the car to the BC DRs. DR. Digressive. The digressive ones. They ride great. Even with a 20K spring in the front, they still ride awesome on the street. So that's the plan, is to put some BCs on this, and obviously I'll take you guys through that process. But yeah, I guess I'm going to stop rambling. I've been rambling a lot in this, so hope you guys don't mind my voice. Alright, so quick mock-up. You got boot, elbow, boot, 4-inch with just a little bit of bend on it, and I think that's actually going to work out pretty good. The filter is fairly substantial. This thing's not exactly where it should be, but the good thing with having couplers, you can kind of fudge things a little bit on like an intake. But yeah, I think it's going to work. I don't love the fact that they're mismatched colors, but I actually thought about painting all of this black and then filing off the top where the HKS is. and then just having the, the blue HKS boot. That thing's original from the 90s, I would guess. I don't really know. This is, this little setup, I think probably had another pipe that came with it for either these cars or the Supras. But as soon as I get the filter, I'll let you guys check this thing back out, and we'll pick up with that and maybe take it for a drive later. Alright guys, so I got the filter, cleaned up this pipe a little bit, and I still need to make like a box or something to go around it. But what's crazy is that's a 4-inch intake, and it doesn't even look all that big. But yeah, you guys, this all worked out perfectly. Use the original clamps here because it worked so good. And then this was one that I had off of my old Lexus, but little old school HKS parts, period correct, a little more modern there. I'd like to get the same finish as the elbow on the intake, but I don't know if that's going to be real easy to do or not. I kind of wish I had like a sky blue coupler right here just to match that one, but that all works out pretty good. I've got the fresh air vent that goes to the front grille blowing on the filter to help hopefully cool things down, because it is a really hot engine bay. And yeah, I guess that's going to be the end of this video. Next video, we're going to go through and start fixing leaks and stuff with Dad. We went and got the car together, and he was so stoked on the car that I really want to include him on a lot of the stuff that we do that's like major. The other things that we're going to be doing is like a coilover install and maybe some bushings, some roll center correction stuff from like Serial 9, I think. And that's going to be just over the next, few months. Going to do some paint correction. Already started kind of doing some research on that stuff because like we talked about, the roof and the trunk lid and the hood and stuff really needs, maybe to be compounded and stuff like that to bring the shine back, clean some stuff up. And yeah, if there's anything that you guys want me to go into detail, like really detail, like, film it like step by step when I do this, like with this car, let me know. Tell me in the comments, go to my Instagram, whatever you want to do, tell me what you guys want to see on this car, and I'll go into as much detail as you actually want me to. Hopefully, we can, bring this thing back to its original glory, and then a little bit more as well. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys really soon. I'm going to try to do one a week as long as my schedule allows. So, hopefully, I'll see you guys once a week, or maybe even more. I never know what my schedule really holds as far as like my evenings and everything like that. So, I'll see you guys soon.